What's going on, everybody? My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. Kamala Harris sits down with Charlemagne the God. For those of you who don't know who that is, he is the host of The Breakfast Club on Power 105.1 here in New York. Didn't go very well. Didn't go very well for old Kamala, which nobody should be shocked by. We're going to bring you guys some of the lowlights of that interview. And why? I think this is an example of Kamala Harris in her desperation making some very bad choices. You know, they say there's nothing more dangerous than an animal who's backed into a corner, and that you should never, dive in after someone when they're drowning because they can take you down too. And the Kamala Harris interviews that she's doing outside of the political realm are certainly showing that. Donald Trump sat down with a bunch of rich people at some economic forum and made a rich British guy look like an idiot, which is always exciting. Also, Kamala Harris, oh yeah, there's the bald guy. Hi, Brian. I'm happy you can start your day here, my friend. Also, later on in the show, we will be sitting down with George Papadopoulos, the first victim of the Russiagate hoax. He's got a new documentary coming out on the Tucker Carlson network. Tucker Carlson's he's dropping some fire. He's dropping some fire recently. A new documentary called All the President's Men, where he is the focal point of the first episode. Guys, check that out. We'll be joined by George a little bit later in the show. Before we get started, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Share the video. Where's the chat? Boom. There we go. Pop that up on the screen. Want to say hello to everybody watching over on Rumble. Hello, hello. How are you, Hazel? How are you? Fireboss, what's happening? Marissa, how are you? Always good to see you, Goose. How we doing? How are we doing? Don't worry, Brian. The next couple of years will fly by. Kimberly Fields, how are you? Let's see. Who else we got? Let's see. All right, so turn it off, you bald fuck. There we go. Well, you know what? Let's just get him out of here. Boom. Brian Shapiro is gone because nobody knows who the hell he is. All right, let's get in here. Monkey Mom, how are you? Before we get into all the stories today, once again, guys, I'll be in Westchester with the Westchester Putnam Patriots over on Saturday. They're having a big rally up there if you're in the Westchester area. Also, from my local audience, Sunday, I'll be at the Islip Street Fair. Last voter registration drive, last push. Let's go. Giddy up. Get out there, guys. I want to see you guys soon. What's up? Hey, Jeremy. How we doing? Great show just before. Guys, hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Let me get a sip. Sorry, I got distracted before by an idiot. But let's dive right on in. So Kamala Harris sat down with Charlemagne the God, who is, I want to say, he's probably the second most listened to radio host on AM, FM, anywhere in the country. Ryan Seacrest might be more, but Charlemagne, don't get mad at me about that. But she sat down with him in an effort to court some of the black vote. Power 105 in America. It's a hip-hop channel. He does the morning show. I listened to it back when I listened to FM radio. Always been a big fan of his. But Kamala Harris sitting down with non-political figures is really starting to show not only her desperation, but her desire her desperate desire to seem likable. What do I mean by that? When you sit down with 60 Minutes or ABC, or even she's going to sit down with Brett Baer, she's going to have some idea of the questions ahead of time, because those are political entities. Just as if you were to go on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, you're probably going to talk about sports. He's a sports guy. You go on Dan Patrick, you're going to talk about sports. You sit in between two ferns, you're going to talk about, inside the actor studio. I got that confused. Well done, Zach Galifianakis. You sit down on the actor studio, you're going to talk about movies, talk about film, talk about television. But when a political person enters a different realm, she starts getting asked questions that she might not know the answer to. And it didn't go very well for her. First off, she came out in favor of reparations, which is just pandering to the black community. But also, Charlemagne actually questioned her on whether or not it was okay for Barack Obama to basically scold black men into voting for them. Here that was.
I want to say President Obama was out there last week waving his finger at black men. When are Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton going to wave their finger at white women? When are Bill Clinton and Joe Biden going to wave their finger at white men? Because 52% of white women voted for Trump in 2016. 55% voted for Trump in 2020. They all voted against their own interests. When the finger waving going to start at them?
Well, thank you for highlighting that. I do have the support of over 200 Republicans who worked for various administrations, including everyone going back to Ronald Reagan, to the Bushes, to John McCain and Mitt Romney, and including Liz Cheney, and I'm very proud to have her support. And I believe that many of them who may have voted for Trump before are supporting me because they know the
stakes. Sorry, that cut off at the beginning. Of course, that was not an answer to the question. And I want to be clear, she can answer that question. Because the one thing Democrats cannot do is come out against the god of Barack Obama. However, many black men are finding what President Obama did about a week ago very condescending. Very condescending. Expecting black men to come out and vote for Kamala Harris. Telling black men that, you know what, we don't have the same sort of energy that we had when I was running. Look, for all Barack Obama's faults, I could understand why people voted for him. He was cool. He was smooth. He, if not in politics, he wins the who would you rather have a beer with test over John McCain and Mitt Romney. 100%. 100% of the time. If Barack Obama wasn't in politics, I'd probably like to go to a ball game with him. People inherently liked him. People inherently do not like Kamala Harris. And when she goes on non-political podcasts, just so you guys know, this is a morning radio show. They play a lot of rap music. Power 105 is a hip-hop station here in New York. One of the biggest in the country. AC Knight, that is a great observation. Obama was also new back then. Most people didn't know about him. We know what Kamala Harris is. We know that she's a race baiter. We know this is what she does. She goes on there and she backs reparations, race-based loans, that are illegal, by the way. We'll get to that. Specific health care measures just for black guys. Because she believes that when she goes on Charlemagne the God, the only people that are listening are black men. I listened to it my whole life. So when she goes on there and talks about reparations and how it has to be studied, it turns out she might have turned off some more people than we think, because this is what Democrats do. They put people into a box, and then they assume that one issue is going to resolve that box's entire needs. They do it with women on abortion. They do it with Hispanics on immigration. They do it with blacks on reparations. But it turns out no group is a monolith. No group, if you pass reparations, you're not going to get all, but that's going to piss off some black men. If you legalize abortion, you're going to piss off some women. If you open the border, you're going to piss off a lot of Hispanics, which we are seeing in the polling data. For a long time, Democrats thought that as America got less white, they would never lose again. The problem is that they spent too much time pandering to people and not actually delivering results for the American people. This from the Post-Millennial. In an interview with Charlemagne the God on The Breakfast Club on Tuesday, Vice President Kamala Harris answered a question about reparations and said she was all for it. She said, quote, "On the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. And I've been very clear on that position. Quote, a study of reparations has traditionally been the first step in passing legislation to cash reparations for the black community. Harris has been struggling in the polls among black men, and her media venture to Detroit to speak on the most popular radio show was an effort to gain some of those votes. Now, first off, I want to make something very clear. There is probably nothing on this planet that has been more studied than the effects of reparations. And what every one of those studies concludes is that if you were to pass reparations, racial tensions in this country would get significantly worse. And why wouldn't it? Not only between blacks and whites, but between blacks and Hispanics, blacks and Asians, blacks and Indians, blacks and Muslims. Because those would also be the people who would not be getting the reparations. Also, Kamala Harris, since you're a former prosecutor, we have this thing called the 14th Amendment, which means that even if you were to pass reparations, it would be struck down by the court because it's unconstitutional. And it should be. Aside from being a morally unjustifiable policy, it's also illegal. Harris had a lengthy answer in which she discussed numerous plans for federal cash assistance, including reparations. I'm going to try to read this all the way, but it's very hard to read a Kamala Harris sentence because it's just the word salad. She said, quote, "So to your point, yes, I am running for president for all Americans. That being said, I do have clear eyes about the disparities that exist in the context in which they exist." Meaning history, to your point. So what's my agenda? Well, first of all, on the point of reparations, it has to be studied. There's no question about that. And I've been very clear on that position. I don't know what the hell that means. She then delved into the tenets of her economic plan, claiming that she wants to increase home ownership in the black community and would do so by building more homes across America. She had a previous goal to build 3 million more homes across America. She also offered a policy of $25,000 down payment assistance for all first-time home buyers, which economists have said would do little more than raise the cost of homes by $25,000 as everyone in the real estate transaction tries to get a hold of that free money. Of course, everyone knows that. Also, Kamala Harris, we do not have a housing shortage in this country. If you want, and this is just a thought, if you want there to be more available homes, maybe stop importing millions of people from across the world. Something to think about. Those people got to live somewhere, and many of them are being put up in Airbnbs all over the place as properties continue to be rented out by large corporations in order to be turned into Airbnbs, which can then be taken advantage of by federal subsidies so that they can get money for these illegal migrants. It's happening all over the country. Blue states, red states, yellow states, green states, all over the place. That's one thing you could do. She also raised the promise of a $50,000 tax deduction for a startup business, which is an increase from about $5,000, which she says is not enough. She's going to give a 10 times tax deduction, increased deduction for black entrepreneurs, not for the white ones. Don't worry. Don't worry, I'll be sure to start a company right then and then identify as black, because if you think I'm passing that money up, you're on drugs. Beyond that, she said she intends to prioritize health care for black people, and black men in particular, in terms of providing cancer screenings. Because it turns out if you're white and you get cancer, nobody seems to care about you. That's what Kamala Harris has decided to put forth. But some people are seeing through it. Which we'll get to in 1 second. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35, or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. What's going on, Sharon? What's going on, Uncle Richie? There you go. I've got my uncle in the chat. Very good stuff. Florence, how are you? Cindy, what's happening? Bob, how we doing? How is the Rumble chat doing over there at ZBM? What's happening? Alex and yo, let's talk about what really matters. What really matters, because we're going to get back to Kamala Harris in just a minute. What really matters, Mets, Dodgers, Game 3 tonight, baby. Let's go. I'm jacked. Who else is excited? Let's go, Mets. Grimace is going to be out. I'm excited. Game 3 in Queens. Nothing better in the world. Where's all my New Yorkers at? How are we doing out there? Who else is excited? Nancy's loving the Mets. Who else out there loving the New York Mets? Steelers, what's happening? What's happening? Lovebug, what's happening? How are we? Natalie, jacked up about tonight. Mets, Dodgers, Game 3. Oh, yeah. Cheryl says, hi, I like the Yankees, though. All right, well, then I'm going to ignore you. Sorry about that. AC Knight's a Dodger fan. We're not going to. The Subway Series is coming, and the Mets are going to win. Let's go. Let's go. Let's jump right back in. So, some people are starting to notice that the pandering to certain groups is not really working out too well for Kamala Harris. Rapper Lord Jamar says that Kamala Harris isn't qualified to run a Dunkin' Donuts or a 7-Eleven. Here he was giving his impression of her absolutely incompetent speech the other day.
To run a Dunkin' Donuts or a 7-Eleven, let alone the corporation that we call United States of America. Her, and the Ganges she rode in on, God damn it. And I said, oh, they brought a female Obama in. But she fell short because she's not the same type of orator that this guy is. She's a diggy broad. She's insulting to black people. First of all, she's not black, okay? And when I say black, I mean like a foundational black American, somebody that grew up with black American culture.
I mean, look, plenty of people are saying it. Oh, sorry about that. Kick that off. People are very upset with it. And why wouldn't they be? She just panders to whoever she's in the room with. That's why I'm begging. I'm begging for the Joe Rogan interview. Because Joe's just going to let her talk. And you can't go on a podcast that's 3 hours long and be completely full of crap and not be exposed. The rapper and actor Lord Jamar has ripped Kamala Harris as woefully unqualified to be president, insisting the Democratic candidate couldn't run a Dunkin' Donuts or a 7-Eleven. The 56-year-old producer unleashed a scathing assessment of Kamala Harris's competency in an interview with the Art of the Dialogue music podcast, slamming the vice president as insulting to black people and suggesting that they tried to make the female Obama. The rapper, whose real name is Lorenzo DeColes continued to scorch Harris during the expletive-laden interview, blatantly declaring at one point, F Kamala Harris. I agree. I knew they were going to do this the minute they brought her in. referring to Democrats choosing Harris to replace Joe Biden. He added that they intended to be the next Obama, but she fell short because she's not that type of orator. She's a diggy broad. She cackles all the effing time. She lies. She don't answer an effing question. Not once during the debate did she answer anything that was asked of her. People are starting to notice. He even went so far as to say, I feel bad that she's so bad. She's the one that scares me. I feel like she's so bad that guess what? I might just F around and vote for Trump. And that's the first time I'm saying this out loud. But y'all MFers don't think you're going to shame anybody or bully a word I can't use into voting for this. Oh boy, he did not hold back on his feelings about Kamala Harris. At one point, he laughed off the scare tactics being used to turn voters away from Trump, suggesting his track record as commander-in-chief debunked liberal fear-mongering that he's a dictator. Guys, people are starting to... It's weird. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I have any idea who these people are. I don't. I don't know who Lil Pump is. I don't know who Kodiak Black is. I don't know who Waka Flocka Flame is. I only know of Sexy Red because of that ridiculous song that I'm not going to play on air. But people are starting to wake up to the fact that Kamala Harris is awful. Now, with that being said, do they come out and vote for Trump or do they just stay home? That's going to be the big question as we move into this election. That's going to be the big question. And even more people are starting to come out against Kamala Harris and her genuine awfulness, which we're going to get to in 1 second. Before we do that, guys, hit that thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place as we're rocking and rolling here, guys. In about 10 minutes, we're going to be joined by George Papadopoulos. He's going to be talking about his new documentary on the Tucker Carlson Network. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Before we get to that, everybody, head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That is your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA-TV related. Check out the LFA-TV store. They got a whole bunch of good stuff over there. And while you're there, everybody, consider becoming a monthly donor to lfatv.us. That's the best way to keep this network on the air, to support us all in what we are doing. Your Rumble rants are always much appreciated. That's lfatv.us. Let's pop the live chat back up onto the screen. I want to say hello to everybody because the Border Patrol is saying that, guys, we got big problems here, okay? We got big problems. And we saw this happen with the sort of defund the police movement that went on in America. They didn't actually defund the police, but what they did was, well, they did in some places. What they actually did was make morale so low that people ended up leaving on their own. And we're getting a report out from the Border Patrol right now that say there will be a mass exodus of Border Patrol agents if Kamala Harris wins. And of course there's going to be. If you've got enough time in that you can retire, or you've only been there 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you're not vested in the pension yet, but young enough to get another job, why would you ever stay? This from the Post-Millennial. Border agents are threatening to leave the agency if Vice President Harris wins the presidency in November after her time as the border czar in the Biden administration. I'm not doing this shit again, one agent told the New York Post. 4 more years of hell. The agent is not near the age of retirement. He said that he is absolutely sure he would leave if Kamala Harris wins. Another agent told the outlet, quote, lots of guys who can retire will go. If Trump wins, they'll stay. The agent added that he believes those agents who have more experience with upwards of a decade of time or more on the job will use their skills to get other jobs. We will have a mass exodus just because we have a bunch of 20-year agents saying peace out. Exactly. And that's what happened with the defund the police movement. Anybody who had 3, 4, 5 years in and was young enough to get a job in another city sector. So if you're on the NYPD, it's not very hard to get a job on the FDNY or sanitation. Leftward, horizontal mobility in city jobs are very, very easy. And then anybody with enough time in retired. So you lost the top and you lost the bottom of the seniority ladder. And it takes decades to build that back up. A report from May revealed that since 2020, U.S. Custom and Border Protection has lost nearly a quarter of its agents. Between 2020 and 2024, 4,281 agents left the agency, which includes those who quit, were forced to retire, or retired early. Now, this brings up the bipartisan border bill that wasn't a border bill. When Kamala Harris says that border bill, which wasn't a border bill, provides for 10,000 more Border Patrol agents, what you need to tell people is that provides the funding for it. Border Patrol agents don't just fall out of the sky. You got to find 10,000 people that want to do that job. And why would you want to do that job under Kamala Harris? I certainly wouldn't want to. I bet many of you wouldn't want to do it either. What, to be demoralized and then lied about in the press after you try to rein in a horse and they accuse you of whipping Mexicans, which you didn't do? Very obviously. You guys remember that hoax. And not, even if you did find 10,000 people dumb enough to do that job under a Kamala Harris administration, even if you found 10,000 people, you still got to put them through the academy. You got to get them situated. That's at least a year. At least a year. For you to have 10,000 new rookies on the job with no one at the top in seniority, in positions of seniority, because everybody who could get out left. That also doesn't account for the rise in suicide rates among CBP agents. In 2022, 15 suicides were reported among CBP agents. A surge in suicide prompted the agency to hire a suicidologist to combat it. What the hell is that? What the hell is a suicidologist? We're just making things up here at this point. We are just making things up. Under this administration, they have done everything they could to make our jobs as inefficient as possible. They can't outwardly tell us not to do our job, but when you're watching criminals come in and get released, it sucks, said one of the agents. The number of illegal immigrant encounters under the Biden administration has reportedly surpassed 10 million. And we know it's way more than that. Way more than that. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is being done intentionally, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Guys, in just a second, we are going to be joined by former Trump advisor and the first victim in the political witch hunt that was the Russia hoax. George Papadopoulos talking about his new documentary. Guys, we'll be back in just 1 second. Before we do,
the biggest benefit, honestly, has been with my skin. Skin was more hydrated, more radiant.
This is the best superfood that you could take.
It has all the essential nutrients you need for your skin, your gut, energy, focus, mood, performance.
My hair has gotten so much thicker ever since taking this.
I used to have a probiotic, a green juice that replaced it all with this Arma colostrum. It is amazing.
You gotta take it.
If you want to try it, try arma.com.
Alrighty, guys, we are back. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to my next guest. He is not only a former Trump advisor, victim of the Russia collusion nonsense that was going on, and he is the star and focus of the new docu-series, All the President's Men. Everybody, please say hello to George Papadopoulos. George, how are you?
Thanks a lot for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely. So, as it's so interesting. Well, first off, I'm so excited for the docu-series. It seems like everything Tucker Carlson has been putting out over the last couple of weeks has been absolutely fire. So I have no doubt that episode 1, The Advisor, which is about you and the deceptions and all the lies that happened around your story is going to come out. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the series and about the episode?
Yeah, no, we're very excited, Kevin, because this has been basically a 5 year in the making project. Obviously, the Russia collusion story was a massive scandal that really started this lawfare against the conservative movement as a whole, not simply Donald Trump, his advisors, his administration, but MAGA in general. And then obviously that metastasized into impeachment 1.0, 2.0, the whole January 6th situation, the indictment, the raid, and the conviction of Trump ultimately. So this new docuseries, All the President's Men, really showcases this weaponization effort against the Trump campaign, the administration, and the MAGA movement as a whole by focusing on individual stories, with mine being the first one. There are others that are going to be down the line, like Roger Stone, General Flynn, some others, and it's quite a project. I think if anybody's really interested in the full story, they definitely want to tune in when this breaks.
Absolutely, and for anyone who obviously everyone who's watching this has been following the story since the beginning, but and I know I certainly have. But even when I saw General Flynn's movie, there were so many aspects that I didn't know that slipped through under the radar or were looked over. So it's so great that you're finally able to tell your story from your side, and the what it actually did to you, because you were the jumping off point to this whole nonsense. You and Paul Manafort, and then moving on to General Flynn. That was the hampering of a presidency. They had President Trump on the back foot with lies and smears and nonsense from the very beginning in 2016, and now they want to sit here and talk about undermining democracy. But your story is really the jumping off point to the Democrats and the lawfare from the Uniparty undermining the totality of a presidency.
Yeah, Kevin, you know what's really interesting is that there were at least 4 different investigations looking into my story, General Flynn, Trump, all of these issues that are presented in the docuseries. And what's fascinating about this docuseries is that it's the first time on the big screen that we're going to get the truth out there. Everything is going to be based on fact, personal accounts, and just no innuendo, conspiracy theories like has been propagated in the mainstream media. So when people watch this, it's like what you mentioned regarding General Flynn's film. You didn't even know most of the stuff that's in there, even though you're an ardent patriot and you know General Flynn and you think you know the story, right? When people watch this first episode, I think they're going to be absolutely rocked, because so much that has been just said in the media, whether it's conservative media or mainstream media, has just been dead flat wrong. And I think this is going to showcase how Trump got on offense, why he said they spied on his campaign, and then why he's going to say and he wants to take down the deep state during his second term. So I'm very excited for it. I'm very honored that Tucker took this on too.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, Tucker's been doing such phenomenal work. For those of you, and make sure you subscribe to the Tucker Carlson Network. If you're gonna subscribe to something, subscribe to that. Just on a personal level, I can't imagine what it is like to have the full weight of the United States government coming after you. I mean, you're a regular guy, and to have them barreling down on you. Tell everybody what that was like, because I can't imagine the pressure, and then you ended up getting the clemency, and there's so much involved in that. But when is the first moment you find out that, wow, this is real? The United States government is coming after me.
Yeah, Kevin, if it was only the U.S. government, that's one thing, but this was actually a global effort to take down not only myself, the campaign, and the Trump administration, and that's what makes this the biggest scandal in modern political history. People just think, oh, it was an FBI operation run amok. Actually, it wasn't. What I explained in my book that came out in 2019 was that this was a CIA-led operation with foreign intelligence that then passed this operation off to the FBI. That later was substantiated this past April by a great article I highly recommend your viewers to read by Matt Taibbi in the New York Post that confirmed that the CIA ran this thing in London against the Trump campaign and people like myself. So when people say that they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, I really was stuck between basically a coup effort against a sitting president, and I didn't let it crack me. I could have. My wife was sucked into it. The mainstream media certainly wanted us to crack and to turn and to flip and say stories about Trump and to destroy his administration. We simply didn't. We kept our faith in God, in our country, and in our family, Kevin. That's what kept us strong. That's why we went back on offense. That's why we survived as a group, and why we're fighting back to this day, and why I think Donald Trump is going to win this election.
Absolutely. And, you talk about the three-letter agencies, the FBI, the CIA, and the other 80 of them. There's too many to even name. But so much of what I think the America First movement is reforming at the top. Many people say it's not the door kickers, it's the political appointees at the very top, the ones who have an agenda, the ones who want to push forward a certain narrative. As you said, it's a global effort. It's a global effort coming from London, coming from many other countries' intelligence agencies, and I don't think a lot of people truly understand just how global and how deep this runs.
Evan, this is why this docuseries is so critical, because it's the first time on the big screen that it's going to explain exactly that, how and why the global apparatus went against a populist, economic nationalist candidate and movement like MAGA. I'll just give you some examples, right? When you look back into 2016, you had the globalist agenda almost implemented. That's what Clinton was all about. It was about implementing the free trade agreements that were going to decimate the U.S. industry at home. It was about Brexit, about the UK staying in the European Union or leaving. Donald Trump was the only candidate that wanted the UK to leave to get their sovereignty back. It was about being tough on China. It was about having some sort of relationship with Russia. It was about making NATO pay their fair share and preventing wars. And this is something that the deep state and the globalist agenda didn't want. That's why right when Biden got into office, he usurped and replaced all of the successful America First policies that the Trump administration had imposed. That's why the war started once again with Russia. And that's exactly why the Middle East is up in flames and China's saber-rattling once again. It was all by design. Trump had stopped it. He put a Band-Aid on the wound. Biden took it off intentionally, and hopefully Trump puts it right back on.
Absolutely. It's so interesting you bring that up. You bring up the free trade aspect, because for the last 50, 60 years since Nixon opened up China, there has been this idea of free trade, that free trade is good and it stops wars, and which I don't know in what. I don't know where they're seeing the wars being stopped. It seems like we've had more war than ever over the course of the last number of years. But that is the one place where Donald Trump continues to get pushback from the Wall Street Journal, from CNBC, from all the financial people, all the people who benefit from the United States exporting work, importing slave labor, keeping wages down. That's the one place that all the financial people seem to be pushing back on him against.
Well, that's why, Donald Trump's exchange today at the Chicago Economic Club was brilliant. He went right into the belly of the beast. He came with facts. He came with a record of success, and he showcased why this old orthodoxy of economic policy that goes back decades about so-called free trade has absolutely been unfair trade for the American workers, for the American industries, manufacturing, and has really resulted in foreign countries, foreign governments using our companies to create their GDPs and to boost their GDPs to the detriment of America. I always say, Kevin, not all of us can be doctors or lawyers, and we all can't sell insurance to one another. Somebody has to work for a living. Okay? I was taught that as a kid. You got to work for a living. And the way you do that is you use your hands, you build. America is a country of builders. It's a country of pioneers. If you lose that, you're going to lose a nation. And that's exactly when Trump went into that forum today. Everybody was left in a state of shock. They were fearful of his policies because they know that they've been wrong, he's been right, and populism and economic nationalism works.
It's so funny because we just played the 5 takeaways from that exchange. That Donald Trump looked right at the guy. I think he was from Bloomberg, where he's like, you've never been right about anything. You've been wrong consistently. And it's so interesting when you see economists, Paul Krugman, all the guys from the New York Times. They've made a career out of being wrong. They're like, it's like the only way to be a financial news reporter is to be Jim Cramer, where people joke around about just do the opposite they say, and you'll make plenty of money. It is so. And for my audience, they know how I feel about insurance salesmen. I had a field day. I had a field day with insurance salesmen the other day. Me and Jake from State Farm got into it. But it is. But that is the populist message that, and I know you're a man of the world, and I see it bubbling up all over the place in so many different countries. It started with Narendra Modi in India. It went to Brexit. Then it went to Trump. We started to see it bubble up in the Netherlands and in Italy. And now with Nigel Farage being a member of the UK Parliament. Populism is taking over the world. And I think that the global elites really, that is what they fear more than any individual person or any individual state.
That's exactly why these foreign governments got involved in 2016. That's why Donald Trump himself says that Ukraine interfered in 2016. That's why he said that the UK and Australia spied on his campaign. That's why the CIA. Why did all these foreign governments get involved? It's exactly because of what you just said. What happens in America reverberates throughout the entire world. If America is the bastion of globalism and the deep state controlling things, and that happens in the rest of the world. If America is free from the chains of the deep state and the globalist agenda and sovereignty and nationalism and industry, and the American worker has power, then foreign countries and foreign citizenry are going to say, we want that here. And that's a direct threat to power of these type of organizations and individuals that have been trying to create and to stop, I should say, stop the MAGA movement. And it's not going to happen. Like you said, you mentioned Italy, you mentioned Nigel Farage in the UK, you mentioned in India, you mentioned in other countries. This is becoming global. It's happening in Brazil, and they can't stop it. And that's what makes them so fearful.
Once again, guys, we're with George Papadopoulos, the star of the first episode of a new docuseries on the Tucker Carlson Network called All the President's Men. I'm so excited to watch it. So, it's been a while for you since you entered the public domain and became a target of not only the United States government but of a global government, whatever title we want to give that. I mean, what have you been doing? You've been holding up all right. I know I missed you at the New York Young Republican Club. I was meaning to get in there, and unfortunately I couldn't make it in. But you've been doing all right. I know you put out a book a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, everything's actually, we're going to be back at the New York Young Republican Club. My wife just came out with a new movie about Hunter's laptop and the corruption situation in Ukraine and how that affects foreign policy and all our taxpayer money going over there in the war with Russia. Highly recommend your viewers check it out. It's called Hunter's Laptop, Requiem for Ukraine. It's on Salem now. I've actually been working with Newsvax the last 4.5 years, a great channel. They're doing great things, working on a super PAC that identifies and supports a lot of these MAGA candidates, both at the local level and at the federal level. We had the book out and working on these movies and just doing a lot of public speaking around the country, keeping very busy educating people, getting the word out, and just making sure that people make sure that what happened in 2016 never happens again, that the power remains in the hands of the people, and that people like Donald Trump and other MAGA leaders maintain power and continue this movement for the next 50 years, hopefully.
I'm like, you know what? I am liking the sound of that because the blob, the uniparty, the neocons, and the neoliberals have run things for far too long and run things into the ground. And I tell people this all the time: if you think we're going to save it in one election, I got another thing. You got another thing coming. The America First movement, this populist movement, will go on long after 24, long after 28. It's never going to stop because this movement we have in America is full of young, energetic, idealistic activists. And I know I'm not going anywhere. I know you're not going anywhere. George, tell everybody where they can follow you, or where they can find the docuseries.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. We're not going anywhere, and I know 75 to 80 million American patriots aren't going anywhere. In fact, we're just going to continue to grow that 10 to make it 100 million and more. So thanks a lot for that. I'm very active on X. You could follow me at George Papa 19. The book is called Deep State Targets: How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plots to Bring Down President Trump. And the docuseries that we've been talking about is called All the President's Men. It's going to be exclusive on Tucker Carlson Network. I highly recommend you watch it. I think you're going to enjoy it very much.
Absolutely, George. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. I will see you. Hopefully I see you in New York soon. We'll catch up. Drinks are on me.
Thanks a lot, man.
I'll see you soon. Alrighty, guys, we will be right back. Alrighty, guys, I want to thank George Papadopoulos for stopping by. As always, make sure you go check out his new documentary over on the Tucker Carlson Network. Honestly, Tucker Carlson's putting out some fire recently with this new docu-series, All the President's Men, and, of course, Line in the Sand with James O'Keefe of his time down on the border doing what James O'Keefe does. Doing what James O'Keefe does. Guys, we got a couple more stories that I want to get to, but before we do that, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Check out the shop. That is the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on here in the movement. Let's pop this up right here. Check this bad boy out. Where is it? Boom. There we go. It's up on the screen. All the good stuff we've got over there. So much new stuff coming on the website every single day. We've got the Daddy's Coming Home for Christmas stainless steel travel mug with President Trump on it. Guys, check that out. Also, anybody who orders anything on the website today will get a free Loud Majority USA hat in the mail. We've sent out so many of them. We always do appreciate the support, guys. Once again, as I spoke about with George, the movement is not going to stop with President Trump. It's not going to stop in this election cycle. We are going to keep moving. We're going to keep grooving. We've got so much going on. I'm in talks with Mike Crispy about stuff going on in the great state of New Jersey for their governor's race, guys. Check out all the good stuff over here. Once again, you get a free Loud Majority hat with the purchase of any item on the website today. Guys, go to loudmajorityusa.com. So as we were talking about with George before, about the idea of free trade and the idea that free trade has been good for America, which I think it has been an absolute disaster for America, really taking me out of the sort of neocon New World Order sort of movement. That's probably where I get the most pushback from people. Here was Donald Trump sitting down with some rich guy from Britain and telling him why he's been wrong for his entire career.
Also talking about 10-20% tariffs on the rest of the world. That is going to have a serious effect on the overall economy. And yes, you're going to find some people who will gain from individual tariffs. The overall effect could be massive.
I agree it's going to have a massive effect, positive effect. It's going to be a positive, not a negative.
Well,
let me just I know how committed you are to this, and it must be hard for you to spend 25 years talking about tariffs as being negative and then have somebody explain to you that you're totally wrong. It'll have a negative. It will have. I'll go a step further.
40 million jobs is a lot of jobs to rely on.
They're all coming back.
Those are 40 million jobs. Those are 40 million jobs in America that rely on trade.
Are you ready? John Deere, great company. They announced about a year ago they're going to build big plants outside of the United States, right? They're going to build them in Mexico.
And you threatened them with tariffs and they stopped.
That's right. I said, if John Deere builds those plants and not selling anything into the United States, they just announced yesterday they're probably not going to build the plants, okay?
That shouldn't be hard to figure out. And so many of these companies, what they'll end up doing is they will take BMW, okay? So BMW has a plant in Savannah, Georgia, I think. I think it's in Savannah. What they do is they ship the parts over here from Germany, and then they just assemble them here. No, you're going to build cars in America. You want to sell to Americans, you're going to build cars in America. This should not be complicated. The rest of the world tariffs our products. We don't tariff theirs. And when tariffs are used correctly, they can be an incredible tool, forcing people to build here in America once again. I understand. And look, will prices go up? Yeah, they're gonna. However, I'm pretty certain, I've done this, I've played this game before. Let's do it again. Chat, let me know what you think. Would you be willing to pay $30, $40, $50 more for a dishwasher or an air conditioner if you knew it was being made in America by union wages? If you knew it was being made in America by American hands? Or do you want some piece of shit from China that's going to look, I remember, I tell this story all the time. My mother had a washing machine that she got for her wedding back in like 1980, okay? Made in America. This thing lasted like 25 years. I think we're on like our 4th washing machine since that thing broke. Because when you make crap overseas with slaves, essentially, that's essentially what they are, slaves, you're going to get a crappier product. This is not challenging. However, the chambers of commerce and the leaders in business and the Koch brothers, they've wanted cheap slave labor here in America and the exportation of American factories for decades now. Not anymore. Not anymore. Nancy says, my daughter's 2-year-old freezer died. Ours has lasted 40 years. Yeah. Everybody's got a story like that. Everybody knows. Except for the leaders of business, the leaders of industry, that know they can pay slave wages in Mexico and get all of their stuff shipped here. But that's not all Donald Trump has been doing. Yesterday, he made a play for the female vote at a women's-only town hall in the battleground state of Georgia. And look, he said some stuff that maybe not everybody is going to like. However, it is the populist message. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. Before we do, Mike Lindell.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. So Donald Trump walked in to a charming red barn in the small rural town of Cumming, Georgia, on Tuesday and smiled as he looked around the room to an audience of entirely women. He traveled to the crucial battleground state in an attempt to win over the female vote just weeks before they cast their ballot in the 2020 election. Women are a key voting demographic the former president needs to gain in order to win back the White House in November. The Republican nominee spent the entire evening fielding questions from single moms, from grandmothers, from immigrants, clarifying his positions on women's rights, on an issue such as the economy, child care, public safety, immigration, abortion, men competing in women's sports. Mainstream media pundits and Democratic politicians have long painted Trump as anti-woman, but those who attended the event appeared to have a different view. Chants of fight, fight, fight echoed through the wooden panels as Trump entered the barnyard. It wasn't long before a single mom of 2 kids walked behind the podium to discuss the hardships her family endured under the Biden economy. Look, Donald Trump has been pro-family his entire career. He's been in favor of IVF. He has no intention of a national abortion ban. Even if he did, it would never pass. He's offered up the child tax credit, a $5,000 a year child tax credit. Of course, Kamala Harris decided to take that plan about 30 seconds after J.D. Vance said it and just add $1,000 to it and try to make it her own because she's never had an original thought in her entire life. When it comes to another issue important to women, Trump told a mother of 3 who was struggling with fertility that he wholeheartedly supported IVF treatments and is outwardly against any state that would attempt to ban it. The GOP nominee has had at least one child who is conceived through IVF, and Republicans are totally in favor of those treatments, explaining that conservatives are pro-family and want to increase the number of children they have. While on the campaign trail, he actually decided that he was going to make it covered through most insurance policies. Good. The Republican Party is pro-family. We need to be having more kids, and we need to be doing it quickly, just in case anybody out there is listening. But in one more hilarious moment, because, it wouldn't be a day in politics without Donald Trump being absolutely hilarious. This Sunday, Donald Trump is going to work at McDonald's in one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen in my entire life. While visiting Pennsylvania over the coming weekend, the GOP presidential nominee expects to stop by a local McDonald's and, quote, work the fry cooker. Considering that Kamala Harris claims she worked at McDonald's, but nobody can prove that. She doesn't have a W-2. She doesn't have a pay stub. McDonald's Corporation says they have no record of her ever working there. But in her attempt to try to seem like she grew up poor, she's decided to claim she worked at McDonald's. Not a photograph of her in a uniform, nothing. Every person out there has a picture of their kid at their first job. Except the Kamala Harris family. I don't know. I'm just saying. He will also be attending the Jets-Steelers game on Sunday, where I have to assume the Jets will lose, because that's what the Jets do. Guys, we're going to wrap up right now. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Make sure you head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. Pick up your free hat with any order. Giddy up. Let's go, guys. Ryan Mott is coming up next. Hit the thumbs up button on the way out the door. Like, subscribe, share the video. I'll see you guys back live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.